Hi, welcome back. Sorry about the lighting. I'm not sure what it looks like on your end, but I'm trying to figure it out. And one day at a time, one step at a time. It's just day two, I think. Yeah. So today's topic is about slowing down, and I'm looking outside because I have my little notes here. Just a three-step thought process to really see what does this mean, what's the whole point, and how can we even use it. And honestly, my goal or objective for this channel is just to create that space where we can, just sit more with yourself. I've seen so much great information and tools to like you do this, do that, don't do this, and there is so much information basically. But information is pointless if you cannot apply it. And I hope this can be the place where you sort of like just put it down and okay, where can I start and where do I go? Because there's an abundance of what to do. There's an abundance of if you're doing it right or if you're doing it wrong, or there is a whole lot of that. But a lot of times, the difference comes in how does it work for you when you apply it, or what does it look like on a day-to-day basis when you start changing your life or making different decisions or approaching yourself differently or treating yourself differently or showing up differently. So what does that look like, and where do you start? Because you want to get beyond just retrieving information and feeding yourself. You want to make sure that you're retrieving the right kind of information. And am I getting the nutrients from this meal? Am I resting enough to recover? Right, just like if you're working on a lot, the recovery is just as important as the workout itself, because it's a balancing act. Like yes, you want to grow your muscles, you want to develop yourself, you want to develop your body, but then again your body wants to adapt to that. It needs space and time to take in all this growth and grow in the right places, supply the right information, whatever it is that's happening in there. So that's really it. And slowing down was really just on my heart for so freaking long. That is not even right. But I really, really want to appreciate it more. Because if you think about it, just about everything teaches you how to do things quicker, more efficiently, or are you on the right track of life? How old are you? What are you doing at that age? What is your biological clock looking like? Or all these things are always inciting on how you need to get there a little bit faster, or you're late, or you should have been there earlier, or all these things. And a lot of times they're very incongruent because you are where you are in every moment for a very divine particular reason. Like it's never a whole mix of things that you cannot actually understand. You're there for a particular reason, and when you start putting yourself on a clock that does not really exist for you, you see my point. Like, so slowing down, why? The whole notion of slow and steady. If you listen to the folklore or moral story of the hare and the turtle, or yeah, I think it's the turtle, and just basically, the hare can run fast, faster than the turtle, but like because like all over the place, you're like, I'll get there when I get there or whatever. Like being all over the place all the time does take away the concentration it requires for you to actually show up more than efficiently, like actually really have the presence that actually makes the biggest difference. You can show up for an event and be on top of everything and yet miss everything at the same time. You could be on time, maybe even early, and you have all your requirements ready, you have your plan for the day, you have your mission for the moment, and you just on the go 24/7 every single second. And before you know it, the day is done and you do feel a little bit accomplished because I was able to do that in the required amount of time, or my entire to-do list for the day is cleared, so it must be good. But by the time you go to bed, first of all, the exhaustion is different, and the accountability is a little bit flighty because you weren't really there to take full accountability. Like just getting something done sometimes it isn't enough for you to actually account for it to be done. And because the things we do on a daily are not really about the things we're doing, they're more about who are we becoming as we do this, right? And who are we becoming and our contribution, what effect does that have? So the only way you're going to appreciate any of that is if you're present in that moment. Look at my nails. If you're present in that moment and actually analyze and ask yourself, yes, this is going this way, this could be this way, or I'm trying to not be where I am, or maybe this is where I'm coming from to get to here. But what presence does, and you actually slowing down enough, first of all, your concept of time changes. And when your concept of time changes, your approach to it changes as well. Because if you're running around like you only have a second on your clock, you might seem efficient, you might seem like a go-getter, but the effect it has on you is the fact that you're constantly coming from a place of scarcity. And that does not stop there. That's the twisted bit about this consistent universe. Like, whatever aspect or mentality you use in one area sort of slips into everything else. You know, you show up every single day like, oh, I only have 24 hours a day, I need to get it done, I need to get it done, I need to get it done. It does not stop there, right? So eventually you develop a little bit of like a scarcity, I don't want to say energy, but something like that, whereby you always think it's just not enough. So you either need to either push yourself beyond your limits, or you need to break yourself to get there, or you need to maybe cut corners, all these things, and all just because you couldn't take a second. You do have a second. You have a second to do it right. You have a second to give yourself enough time to gather all you need to gather. You have enough time for you to fully grow into the person you need to grow into. You have enough time to go just beyond reaching the destination. You have enough time to enjoy the journey. Because every time you skip the journey, you have to come back for the journey. That's just really it. Because there's nothing more in life. You know, you think about it. At first, when I would think about that, it would make me a little bit sad and mad. Because I'm like, what's the point? But really, it's the little things. You know, it's not about where you're going. It's about the in-betweens, you know. It's not about, oh, when I turn 30, when I turn 40, or when I turn 15, or when I turn 16. Yes, that's grand, but what about what's happening in between that? You know, even if you're turning a certain age, a certain day of the month, we have 12 months, unless we think we do. But like whatever amount of time you have, there is still so much that happens before, after, and in between. So what happens then? You know, and I hope we can create that environment that just you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it, but you're actually taking time to evaluate it in a sense that where can I put this and how can I make this grow? You know, just like we are very patient on the things we think are obvious, right? Like when you plant a seed, you need to kind of wait for it to grow. We're like, oh, I get it. But you're not any different from that. You know, when you really take away from the literal concepts and you just enjoy the essence of things and what they represent, you realize that you yourself are a seed in every moment. You are an idea to grow. You are a concept to cultivate. You are a formula to use. So when you take away things being too literal, that you're just saying that I'm not a seed, I'm not a plant. Well, what does it represent? How does it work? Are you really any different? So just breaking things down to that little or micro or like an atom in a sense, and just starting from basics. You have time. You really have time. I'm not sure who said this, but there is the quote I used to like in small. I don't know if it's a quote or just an analogy of, you know, there are two types of people. When you give them 6 hours to cut down a tree, one person spends maybe the entire 5 hours trying to cut down the tree because it's a lot of time, and they'll just heat at it until it breaks down. And the other person, they will spend maybe 5 or 4 hours sharpening the axe, you know, because the sharper it is, the less time you need to cut it down, and it's even way more efficient because you're taking time, and between the time when you're sharpening your axe, you're evaluating how big is the tree, or you know what type of tree is it, because you honestly always have time one way or another. It may not be typically the way we understand it, that do I have an hour, do I have two, do I have a whole day? No, but like time is just more of your relation to whatever you need to do. It's beyond what time is it on the clock, or how old am I. It's beyond that. Like literally, I appreciated the infancy in getting older. Like when I'm younger, well, I still am. I'll always be. You sort of have this mindset of when I get there, when I get there, when I get there, and quite often you get there and there's really not much to get to. You're still you. Meaning that what really mattered was the in between work. What really mattered was who were you becoming, because that is all you're taking with you. You know, grand edge, the grand scenery, or the destination. They don't have anything you don't have. And how you show up affects what you see and what you experience, because we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So it's quite a wonderful oxymoron to be alive. So yeah, that's why. So when I was thinking about slowing down, I had why, the essence, and the objective. Really, the why is really because why not? You know, if you were to actually choose between just accomplishing something and really accomplishing it in a very excellent way, or how do you want to feel when the D-Day comes for you to transfer from this consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. That just makes me a little bit more comfortable, and I'm going to ride with it for now. But just giving yourself time to understand things, I don't know if you've heard the quote from Solomon, and it's more like, with all you're getting, get understanding. It's one thing to know. I can't count how many times I have known and it meant nothing to me at all. Like on paper, it makes sense. As a coach, it makes sense. But your own reality faced in whatever time zone or mentality you're in, it's a whole different scenario in a sense. So, find your why, why you're rushing. Honestly, why you're rushing, and do you know the effects of rushing? And are you really in a place that requires that? Because another thing too is to reduce the attachment we have to tools or our stories, because every single moment will require something different from you. That yes, you might be, if you're being chased by a lion, or maybe you're in an intense situation, a life-threatening situation, then by all means dash, absolutely. But then let's not lose concept of the importance of slowing down, because there's so many situations that you know justify why you need to be in a rush. There'll always be something to justify it. There'll always be a reason. If you seek, you will find. Trust me. It's beautiful. It's also annoying, but it's also consistent. If you seek, you will find. If you act like you don't have time, if you act like you cannot get it done, you will not get it done, because that is what you're looking for. And a disturbing bit, and in future episodes or videos, I will find even more tools to this, because this is real time for me. It's real time for me. It's not. I'm not just using hindsight, because I feel like life is just constantly a new moment. All these memories and lifetimes or whatever we have. If they were really it, we would not be here right now. So if my past was all that needed to be, I wouldn't be here right now. If you have done what you need to do, you wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't be watching this video outside of the screen or wherever you're at. So the objective is actually just get present enough to appreciate your life, like on a basic level. I don't know why, but I used to admire really old people, right? And it's weird. I thought I'd be scared of growing old, but there is a beauty in growing old. And it just feels like you live in a completely different world. That's what it seemed like. And that's actually true, because with every season of your life, you are entering a different season, and all seasons look differently. That is why we can fully distinguish winter from summer, from spring, from fall, because they are their own little worlds. And just for a moment, like reduce the objectivity and just take the essence of things, take what they represent, and see how that applies to your life. So yeah, slow down. I hope this helped to create a train of thoughts. Really, I feel like I love doing that. Just sometimes it's not really about a solution, or am I doing it right or wrong, but just getting on the right track to explore yourself, because you as an individual are very different. You think very differently. You have a different set of belief systems. You have a different set of understanding. You have a different set of inspirations. So sometimes all you need is to tap into your own working system. Like all you need is just the key to your own factory, to your own creativity, pool, lamp, genie, whatever. Like I hope you can find that here. Like, just, just ponder about it. It's not really like you're right, you're wrong, let's fix it. No, sometimes really just taking a minute and thinking about it. Like, I could take a second on that. Makes all the difference. So, have fun and try slowing down for a week. Don't rush. Intentionally brush your teeth, intentionally get out of bed. Do you know how many things we do on a daily that we actually can't not recall? Because the better you get at it, you switch into autopilot. That's supposed to be done in this video. But I love when I get into a loop of things. I enjoy it too. But yeah, there's so many things. I have this practice I like to do whenever I feel like I'm going off my presence, right, whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna feel everything. When I'm writing, I want to feel how I'm writing. When I'm driving, I want to feel the essence of driving. When I'm taking a shower, I want to feel every droplet on my body. When you're lotioning yourself, like feel your skin, not in a creepy way, but like actually feel that moment. Have you ever had a cut from somewhere, not a cut, but a cut, and you're not sure where you got it because you were so busy and you were rushing and you don't even know how you got maybe like a pepper cut or a blister or whatever. So yeah, and that is just like the mundane things, but there are even bigger consequences when we're not slowing down. You're like, I need to get it done. I need, and I'm late. I'm this, and this, and that. And when you get there, you're like, I actually was not doing much. Like, you'll be surprised when you realize how many things have actually worked for you without your busyness, without your exhaustion, without your, depletion. Like, I understand how noble it feels to say that I struggled for that, or like I worked so hard for it, or like that the whole struggle concept. I get it, I really do get it. But even in that struggle, honestly, there are ways you can slow down in every moment. That's what I'm saying. Like every arena, every field, you can't slow down enough to get there. So thank you for being here. Sorry I went beyond my time goal, but we'll get there. I'll slow down next time and realize it. But have a good time, and honestly, you have time to be present for yourself and for your little details, and spend time with yourself a little bit slower, no rush. I mean, you don't have to get in traffic to see yourself. Like, you don't have to book a flight to your life. You don't have to work for a year to get a promotion to your life. So come on, you have time for you. You have time for, one thing you don't really have to qualify for in that sense. So you have time to be as good as you can be, to enjoy every second as you. So thank you for being here and come back for more. Obviously, have a wonderful time.